Hey, we're back. Boom, and we're back. No more NASA. We've interrupted NASA with NASA. How about that? We're joined by the NASA Edge boys with a Z.
All the dirt, we're not going to talk about this. We're back online.
Exactly. Oh, now we have to behave ourselves.
Our game faces.
We've got Chris and Blair from NASA Edge, and you're out here covering the last launch of Space Shuttle Atlanta. Well, the Space Shuttle. I can pretty much. Yeah,
we are covering you guys.
Special Spacevidcast coverage.
Right.
You guys have been out here. We've been asking this question of a lot of people. You guys have been out here numerous times, and you've seen a few shuttle flights and rocket flights and whatnot.
Yep.
So, how is this flight different than previous missions that you've seen?
It hasn't really hit me yet. I mean, it's.
But will it about 10 seconds after it launched?
I was telling him, I said, one of the things we got to do for this one, and what we need to do is we want one at the countdown clock, and somewhere on the tripod look back towards the viewers, so as it goes up to see the people's reaction. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the last launch, and then after it launches, how are they going to react afterwards?
Yep.
I don't know how I'm going to react after it launches. I mean, it's kind of weird. This is it. I mean, you're never going to see a shuttle launch again. I mean, unless you watch old clips or watch some movies.
And certainly that's reflected in the crowd this year. The last two shuttle launches we've attended or been present for hasn't been nearly this kind of crowd.
Unmute your mic.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, obviously, obviously this is an important launch because we were driving in this morning and we passed the McDonald's in Titusville, and I've never seen more cars at a McDonald's in my entire life. So obviously, this is an important event. But no, this is seriously, this is going to be awesome, and just think of the poor crew on board, just waiting to go up. I mean, think about that. They're going to be the last launch and the last landing of the shuttle ever.
Of the best orbiter ever made.
It's incredible. It really is. And it's nice to actually be part of it. And the thing, all of the flights are historic. I mean, they're significant. But here it's kind of bittersweet, but definitely an emotional launch.
On a funny note, thing about shuttle, have you seen Transformers 3 yet?
No, not yet. You know what we're going to do? We're going to watch it at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex in IMAX 3D.
Okay.
So, if you're going to watch Transformers 3 as a space geek, this is where you watch it.
Well, that's a good point.
For those of you who have actually seen Transformers 3 and following on chat, just say, yes, I've seen the movie, so we get an idea how many people.
Now you have to wait 20 seconds. We can do that in awkward silence if you like, or you can keep going.
That's okay, but I don't want to give away the scene, but there is a scene in there that's, I say to myself, I just say, how did that happen? But you'll understand it when you see it. So.
But certainly a fun movie. Great time to see it as we're here for the last shuttle launch as well. So.
What's your shuttle moment? Like, most people have it's like the first time they saw a shuttle, or there's a certain mission that really touched them. They go, wow, that got me. What's that moment for you?
Well, I've got two. Sorry.
NASA Edge guys, of course they do. Rules aren't made for us.
I have 35 memories.
Of course, like everyone else who's seen it in person, it's the first one's cool because you don't realize the shock waves in, or you don't hear it until 3-4 seconds after it launches. That's kind of cool. But I think for us is 125. It is Atlantis. That's the Hubble mission.
Yep.
The fact that not only was it the last servicing mission, but we actually had a chance as a team to really get to know the astronauts really well. Drew Foystel, Mike Good,
Mike
Massimino.
Oh, he's a hoot and a half.
Megan.
Oh yeah, Megan McArthur and John Brunskill. But more specifically, I think for us would be Massimino, Good, and Foystel, because we see them all the time. In fact,
you have to share. Well, you get that out. The interesting thing too, I remember it didn't really occur to us. We were out here ready to do the show when we realized, wait a minute, we know all those guys. So we went to the astronaut walkout, and we'd actually spent some time with them, and that was a unique thing because that hadn't happened before. So when
we had a shout out.
That was neat.
That's really awesome.
But I you can't see it. It's on our Facebook page. But Ben, I'll let you see that.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah.
Where that's from?
Well, that's the orbiter in space. Oh, is that the cupola?
Yeah. There you go. Good eye. Good eye.
Because you can't see it. He's that we know, we got a NASA Edge sticker and put it and took a picture and sent it.
And I can assure everybody it's not Photoshop. We have a Photoshop guide, and that's a picture part of that.
When we put our logo on NASA Edge, that will be Photoshop. That will be Photoshop.
No, but the cool thing about the 125 mission was the fact that we got to interview them, we got to see what they were going to do. We were at at JD. We got to work with them at Daytona at the 50th anniversary, the Daytona 500, and the Aston's 50th anniversary. And then we got to see him afterwards.
Yeah.
And then we followed Mike Good on his recent, and of course, Stu Foysel and went forward this past mission. So that was probably the highlight mission for us.
You guys want to hear some really good rumors?
Sure.
All right, so these are all rumors. They're not been confirmed yet. We're waiting for initial confirmation.
Okay, well, we'll give you our take on how true they are.
All right, so the rumor is at this point we're going from a 30% chance of go at T0 up to a 60% chance of go at T0, and we should hear official in that minutes or so. Now, we're not going to nor am I going to change my shirt. The shirt doesn't change until we go above 50%. So, yeah. Well, I don't have green. I don't make green.
I say go shirtless.
And awkward. And we just lost half our viewers. How did that happen? I don't know what happened.
You gain a whole new set of viewers.
You're not going shirtless.
So that's the rumor. The rumor is that we're about to go into a much more favorable go condition at T0, which means Atlantis is the one. We've got 3 remaining orbiters. 2 of them have been retired, obviously. Discovery Diva is the one who's I don't want to launch. I don't have enough attention on me. Right? That's Discovery Diva. We've got newbie Endeavor who's like, I'm scared. I'm not sure what's going on. Everything works, but I don't want to come. And we've got Atlantis who's like, I've done this before. I'm good. Let's just go. Thunderstorms.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment. As far as the rumor's concerned, that's how I feel. I hope that comes true, obviously, but it looks good. I know you can't tell, but it looks good.
I personally think we're going to be good at it.
Yeah, I do too. That actually was coming from fairly official sources, trickling down to us.
Right.
I can't wait. I mean, I'm not going to update anything until we have the official thing. But
I'm telling you, but I'm not going to confirm it.
Pretty much. I'm basically saying this is looking really good.
That's great. Great news.
Could be bad information though. I don't know yet.
That's right.
I tell you what, though, it is amazing. You see it on the pad out there, and we didn't get a chance to go out to the RSS
retract.
Yeah, did you go there yesterday?
No, we did that before. For those of you who are new, could you describe an RSS retract?
Yesterday I was around. I guess it was. What time did it go out yesterday?
It was after.
It was a little delayed because of the weather.
The RSS is a rotating service structure, so they have a structure that covers the orbiter, and so the day before, so many hours before the launch, that RSS actually retracts and actually moves away, so you actually can see the shuttle.
As you're looking at the screen, as you're looking at the space shuttle, that big, huge gray part on the left, that's it rotates and actually covers the entire shuttle. But in some respect, I'm looking at that now, and I just looked up, and I am sad because if you look over at Pat 39B, you see a rotating service structure. Just lightning towers. You see the lightning protection system in the old Ares
Constellation days.
But that's But it's one door closing, but it's empty waiting for the future.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are a couple ways you can look at that. Shuttle is great, but shuttle's low orbit only. And it takes a fantastic amount of money to run the shuttle.
Yeah, it's time to go beyond low orbit.
It's time to go beyond. But it's that awkward let's make a deal kind of moment, because it's like we see what's behind door number 1, and that's attractive. And when we look over and see nothing, we don't quite know yet what's behind that next door. And I'm sure it'll be great, but you're just like, what you can see is what you can't see.
Well, just think when Enterprise 1701 first took off, and they didn't know exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
And they
you know what? Hang on. We're going to go back to some audio. This might be the official confirmation about weather.
Margaret, as we go along, maybe you can tell us some of what we're seeing as we look at the tape. But if we could go ahead and roll that. This was shortly after the groundbreaking on August the 8th, 2010.
Okay, here we can see that the contractors, they are putting the radome together.
Well, yeah, actually, as I was just saying, we're going to let them do their thing. They're talking about the new radar system that they've got in place. Somewhere in there, they're going to talk about the go, no-go condition. So we're going to actually go back to NASA TV. We're going to let them play their set. These guys can wait, right? They've got nothing better to do. So we're going to head back to NASA TV. Let's listen to what they have to say, and let's see if we're in a go condition at T0.
This newer radar is dual polarization. This allows the radar to view precipitation particles both horizontally and vertically, as opposed to just horizontally with the older radar. This can help identify the type, size, and number of precipitation particles, which greatly improves our warning accuracy. And you can see there also the new site is about 23 miles to the west of many of the launch pads on Kennedy Space Center. The reason it is here as opposed to on Patrick Air Force Base, where the older WSR-74 was located, was because one reason was the height. This one here, it would have intruded into the airfield safety corridor on Patrick Air Force Base. And another reason that it is here at the current site is because it has an unobstructed view to Cape Canaveral Air Force Station and Kennedy Space Center. On Patrick Air Force Base, the older radar had to transmit across many large buildings in Cocoa Beach to view the Cape and Kennedy Space Center, which greatly increased ground clutter. And there you can see the VAB. So there's a clear line of sight there from the radar to Kennedy Space Center, which greatly helps us a lot. And here we have Todd McNamara. He's our radar launch weather officer, and he is actually manning the radar as we speak.
Right here, we got the center line actually over Cape Canaveral while the radar.
There you can see some radar, some shower, thunderstorm activity moving over the Cape and Kennedy Space Center. And actually, to his right there, that's Staff Sergeant David Van Squake, and he's actually at one of our TAL sites overseas supporting the launch mission.
Well, right now the crew is getting a weather briefing, and I wonder if you could go into that for us. Tell us what the forecast is today, what the outlook is, what do we see coming up over the next few hours, particularly when we get to launch time.
Okay, well, there's a tropical wave in the eastern Caribbean, which has been slowly pushing towards the north. For today, we're looking for almost the same weather conditions as yesterday, mainly rain showers and some isolated embedded thunderstorms. We still have a 30% chance of favorable weather for the launch. However, as the days progress, our chances do get better because the system pushes toward the north, and which makes it much more drier than it is currently. Our weather conditions at all three TAL sites are good to go, and also the abort sites at Edward and Northrop Strip is also good. So mainly we're just concerned with the weather here at Kennedy Space Center.
What probability is Kathy Winters currently putting on our forecast?
Yes, currently the probability is 70% no-go, which is 30% favorable.
All right. Well, if we go into tomorrow, what does Saturday look like, and what does Sunday look like?
On Saturday, our chances are 40% favorable, and on Sunday, it's 50% favorable. So we're still looking for the same almost weather conditions.
All right, but at least the trend is in the right direction.
That's correct,
So
yes.
we live in hope.
Yes,
so,
we do.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Master Sergeant Howard, for telling us about the new radar and bringing us up to date on the forecast. And I know the crew is just finishing up their weather briefing and getting ready to go suit up. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're at T-minus 3 hours in holding, and we're at 27 minutes now remaining in this built-in hold. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
There you have it. I got your hope, and then they bat in a style that only a weather forecaster can do. They bash them back in.
I feel like they're bad parents. You know how you just like squelch all your enthusiasm out of you when you were a kid?
I was looking over to the table in that bag right there. You see that bag right there?
Yeah.
The shirt in that bag, waiting to come out and worn in lieu of the red shirt. Unfortunately, they're still at a 30% launch today. But as Tim pointed out earlier, that doesn't mean no launch. That just means you've got a 3 in 10 chance. You know, it's about a 1 in 3 chance.
Hey, that's what Derek Jeter's trying to get to. That's a good average, right?
Yeah, that's actually not bad, bringing it in baseball, you know?
Yeah.
So we're going to...
I got a question for you.
I got a
question for you.
Yes.
And maybe you can get the input from the audience too when they're...
No, we don't.
No.
So let's say you're one of the 4 crew, right? And you woke up at 4:30.
Yeah.
If you had your choice, what would be the breakfast of your choice if you were up on Atlanta? What would you want to eat when you went up on shuttle?
I'll tell you, it would not be able to...
It's up to you. I mean, I know that you can't have everything. I mean, if you had your own choice and there was no issues, what would you want before you
You know, knowing me, because I'm tubby and I'm going to accept my tubbiness, I want like a cupcake.
A cupcake?
Like just a delicious sweet treat to go with my delicious sweet lunch.
Interesting. Yeah.
Now, there is absolutely zero question. There's I'm 100% sure a bowl from Chipotle. I would not care if it's breakfast. If I'm going to lunch and go on a shuttle ride, the last thing I want is a good bowl. They're solid. They keep you lean, but they fill you with carbohydrates. You're good to go.
But you know what I would do?
What's that?
I would eat that bowl of Chipotle.
Yes,
As
right.
we're launching, I would take the bag of chips and start eating chips going on.
I was going to say it'd be interesting to see how the bag of chips fared, nestled into my astronaut
And then when you
suit.
get in the low Earth orbit, you just have the bag floating right next to you. You just take it chip one chip at a time.
Can you just imagine how upset they'd be on shuttle if you open the hatch and you're eating like the last few chips in a Chipotle bag?
Or you just
air this around, you know, waft, you know?
You got some responses. What they got? What would they eat?
So you should eat some space meals made by a gourmet European chef from ESA. That's really the only...
Well, wait, now, could they make that up there so I could still parlay that Chipotle bowl into European fare up on the ISS?
You could do that.
Yeah. Although I really think Chipotle ought to provide all food in space as well, but it's okay for me to endorse Chipotle on your show, right?
Oh, sure, why not?
Okay, I just didn't want to...
You're unofficial.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm speaking personally.
Oh, yeah.
I'm speaking personally. Yeah.
They don't drive the show.
I'm sorry. I'm pro Chipotle.
But no, it's a little cloudy over there now. The weather changes. You got the sun.
It changes by the minute. Yeah, you got the sun coming through here,
that's right.
and then like doom over here.
I'm banking on the sun. I mean, I'm banking on the sun to do what it has to do to clear the air to make this launch possible.
Go sun.
Go sun. Yes, absolutely.
But don't forget though, this is still an important. I know we're not really doing. we're not doing a lot of EVA. The astronauts on board won't be doing EVA.
That's an interesting thing, actually. ISS is doing the EVA.
ISS is doing EVA this time, and but we do have a lot of supplies up there. We've got the robotic servicing, fueling servicing mission. We got some cool scientific experiments going up on board. We got the iPhone. The iPhone. You know, we haven't talked about the iPhones going up.
Yeah,
and it's cool stuff because you can play with them down here on Earth too.
Right. Yeah, we actually have iPhones.
Yeah.
Well, not yet. you can get the app.
Sorry.
Who invited these guys on?
Mary Ann just laughed hysterically in the back.
Oh, we're on our...
We got signs dropping behind us. It's all...
I've been known to bring down a show or two in the process. So,
another cool experiment that people don't get to know, and they're actually doing on this one is sleep patterns in space.
I can say that.
And in fact, I have about 6 or 7 of these in my office. They're the AccuWatches. I don't know if you've seen them.
No.
So they're these watches that has a sensor, light sensor, and has an accelerometer in there. And these astronauts wear them in pre-flight, flight, and post-flight. And about 4 years ago, I had some high school students at the beach doing an experiment wearing the AccuWatches for a week. And what they do is they measure your sleeping patterns and how active you are during the day and at night. And so what they want to do is up in space, they want to see, okay, well, how are they awake? What kind of lighting you have inside the shuttle? Are they sleeping to a standard 24-hour clock? Are they adjusting to the right time zone? So that experience is going up.
Adjusting to the right times, that would be like time zone.
because their bodies are used.
Maintaining a time zone.
But what we found out is, which was actually kind of interesting in this high school experiment we did a few years ago, is that, high school students, I mean, I don't know about Minnesota, but in Virginia Beach, high school students will go to school around 7:30 is the start time for high school.
Sure, something around there, yeah.
And they find out that, of course, research is saying that high school students don't really get active until around 9 a.m. That's the time they should start going to school.
I would argue
high schoolers and 40-year-olds.
But this experiment we did...
I'm like 12 noon over here.
This experiment with the active watches actually showed that. And they feel their activity level in the first 2 bells of class, they weren't moving at all. But once they got the 3rd bell, which is around 9 or so, it was just starting to fly.
But did they take into account that maybe they weren't the best teachers for the first 2 bells? I mean, I don't. You gotta weigh that in.
And we found out the average time that these high school kids went to bed, which is well past 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Yeah. And then, of course, on a Friday night, they didn't get up till 10, 11 o'clock, in the morning.
Yeah, and did they take the ActiWatch off and put it on the dog for a couple of hours?
I mean, the only time they couldn't wear the watch when they went into the shower or take a bath or something. But other than that, it's a cool experiment, and you'll see astronauts wearing these ActiWatches. If you see close-up pictures of them, you'll see them wearing the watches.
That's why they look like they're wearing 7, 8 watches.
Yeah, that's right.
The other watch that a lot of them will wear is this one, actually. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this is the watch. This is the only watch approved by NASA. This is the Speedmaster Pro, only watch approved by NASA for EVAs.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is what was used on the Apollo missions, and this is also what was used to help time Apollo 13 for their not this exact watch, but this brand watch. And you'll see it. It's very. Do you have
a little window on the spacesuit to see the time?
No, it goes over the spacesuit. So they rip the band off and they use Velcro, and it just goes on top.
Nice.
And Velcroed
Very
around.
good.
And why is it approved?
It's approved. It's actually approved because many of the other watches they had a blue sapphire crystal, and those can puncture the Kevlar of a spacesuit if they come loose. And this is acrylic, and it cannot.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's my fun. That's my watch. Because I'm a little bit of a watch geek. So you mentioned a watch.
My grandfather gave me this watch to give to me. Sorry.
Have you tried getting into space?
I try to. Yeah, but it has to go with its wearer. So that's the only problem.
Well, maybe one of the commercial companies as we go. Now we're looking at a new era in exploration, and we're bringing more commercial companies on board. Maybe SpaceX or something.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because NASA is helping to fund some of these companies. We were just over at Slick 40, Space Launch 40, which is where SpaceX hails out of for the operations. They've got different places they'll launch from Vandenberg, different launch. And they're doing some pretty stuff. And so a lot of people are like, oh, well, the shuttles, I mean, here's a company that's well, we can do it cheaper, faster.
Elon Musk is pretty smart.
He is?
Yeah.
Well, I think he's got a team of really smart people behind him, too.
But the cool thing about it is you'll get these upstart companies, these commercial companies. I mean, the average age for a lot of these engineers are in their 30s.
What's the average age of the engineers here?
Oh, it's a little bit.
A little bit of that.
But think about this. Back during the Apollo days, that's how old these people got. Back then, they were in their 20s and 30s. And it's cool to see these upstart companies like SpaceX, Sierra Nevada. Of course, you got Boeing competing, and you got Blue Origin. But look at SpaceX and even Burt Rutan's group.
Scale Composites.
Scale Composites. Scale Composites is I think the head engineer. I think someone told me he's only 34, 35 years old. And so you're sort of at that. You're going back to that pre-Apollo era where you get these young engineers coming up with new designs, new technologies, new thinking for the future. It's world-changing stuff. It's right.
Think about what
as it was back then.
Absolutely. It absolutely. Think about what they're doing with Spaceship Two. Right now, it's tourist flights, but they can turn that into a New York to London in 1 hour.
That's right.
Kind of flight very quickly and easily.
That's right.
That's absolutely something that suborbital flight can do.
You still have to get to the airport 2 hours early.
You have to get there, and it'll still take him an hour to taxi down the runway. No, food will be no better whatsoever.
But I think, we were talking to Lori Garver a couple of weeks ago. I just think,
NASA's deputy
administrator for NASA, and I think, 20, 30 years from now, it's going to be amazing to see what actually is going to only give me a little bit where we're going to be at beyond that. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty cool. What are you most excited post-shuttle era for?
That's a good question. Wow. I don't really know. I don't want to articulate it specifically, but I'm still very excited about leaving low Earth orbit. I want to do manned spaceflight, moon, whether it's Mars or an astronaut. Whatever that's going to be, that's what I look forward to. To me, that's the most exciting. I don't want to diminish all the stuff happening, especially on the commercial side, but I'm still thinking broad exploration and deep space stuff. That's the stuff that I think is just most exciting.
I would love to see that Space 1999 land on Mars.
Eagle 1, yeah.
I don't remember.
1999, Martin Landau?
I don't.
Oh, wow. Epic fail. Sorry.
Whoa. Wow. Well, then.
I'm sorry. Minor fail. Minor fail. I'm sorry.
You don't have to go here.
Viewers will probably know about. Oh, yeah, it's a good point. Razor I just brought in. Totally forgot about that. In 4 years, we're going to be able to determine whether or not Pluto is a planet or not. With New Horizons.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that, too.
I am looking forward to that.
From a robotic side.
We got Juno going up like in a month.
Yeah, August 5th, I believe.
And an MSL coming in November.
So that's Curiosity. Mars Science. That one, okay. So let's talk about the EDL on that one, the entry descent landing.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the scariest part of any space mission, other than launch itself.
That's right.
Is entry descent landing, and I hope they don't mind me. This particular vehicle has this sky crane concept. And it's either going to be the amazing thing ever, like for any Martian landing, or an epic fail.
Yeah. But that's the risk of operation. It's pushing the technology to the limit.
Can either of you describe that a little bit? Are you versed in the sky crane at all?
No, I'm not versed in sky crane.
Well, I have a rough idea.
Let's give them a rough idea.
Essentially, from orbit in Mars, the spacecraft, I don't have all the specific terms, but comes in and literally, using rockets, hovers about 200 feet, something in that range, and lowers the Mars Science Laboratory from there to about 50 feet, I think, and then just drops the MSL or Curiosity to the ground.
Well, it then has to fly away so that it doesn't interfere.
Right, so that there's no collision. Yeah, so we're talking to Julie Townsend last year at Lunabotics, and she was talking about that, and she had mentioned that they're even though this is new and very risky, the old method that they had used for the 2 previous rovers would not work for something on the size order of the MSL.
This is the largest laboratory by hands down we've ever put on Mars.
It's like the size of VW bus.
Yes, it's pretty significant.
The thing about this idea, what we're looking at in the future is looking at inflatable. I mean, we're doing some experiments at NASA Langley with the Hyatt, which is hypersonic inflatable aerodynamic decelerators, using inflatable decelerators for your spacecraft. That's cool. And the cool thing about the inflatable structures is that you don't have to worry about the diameter of your launch vehicle. Now you have this inflatable shell that you can do as big as you want, depending on the mass of the spacecraft.
And those are light, so they don't add an additional mass component to it that's counterproductive.
Right. So we have another experiment going up in 2012 with RV3 that's going to be looking at another inflatable. Right.
And an important thing so I believe we're getting ready for a crew walk point.
Oh, how cool! I love crew walkout.
But let's talk about really quickly before we get into a lot of people are saying, well, what's NASA going to do now without the space shuttle? Because I think a lot of people define NASA by this. But NASA is so much more than just the space shuttle.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to consider from the exploration side. We're looking at the commercial sector. We still have a lot of different technologies that we're going to develop in the future to get us beyond low Earth orbit to near Earth objects. New propulsion systems, new communication systems. It's gonna a slew of different new technologies over the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. So we're looking at I always love how each white room has the label. They put the label of the orbiter there.
Right.
Like because you don't know. Like, wait, what do we which one do we have here now?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was the white room, and we're basically getting ready to drive the astronauts at this point out to I almost said the International Space Station.
Yeah.
In a way, that's right. In a way, that's right.
Technically in transit.
multiple stops.
Exactly.
There's a layover.
We're on pad. Like the tarmac.
So you've been here for a little while. Can you describe a little bit of what's going on? We've got well, right now what's going on is the orbiter sitting there fueled.
Looking very
the
prepared.
astronauts they're gearing up.
Yep, getting in their suits.
Yeah, they're gearing up in their suits. So they're going to get into the Gulf Stream, and they'll eventually come down this road. They'll block it off, and they'll have the helicopter flying over to make sure everything's okay. They'll get to the launch pad, and they'll get into the elevator, proceed up to what's the
95.
I can't remember. I can't remember what level it is.
I can't remember.
To get into the shuttle, but I think I just lost my train of thought because I had a.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned the Gulf Stream 134 when it was scrubbed. They were in the Gulf Stream, driving down the main road here, and turned around, and that's when everybody kind of knew that things had scrubbed. We won't so, but
and the thing about the Gulf Stream is that going to be retired?
It's the Airstream.
Or the Airstream?
Yeah.
I don't know because that was coming from the Apollo era.
Yeah.
Do you think they would keep it going?
Oh, yeah, carry it. Spacevidcast.
Yeah.
We'll take it. We'll drive it around.
Well, it'd be interesting to see if they actually put it in the museum or if they actually keep it going.
That would be kind of cool.
And if they put it on government access, we'll have to see if Mike Downs will pick it up.
NASA Edge.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
NASA Edge RV.
No, but it is an interesting question. But I mean, we still hope to do manned spaceflight. Will they upgrade by the next time?
One shuttle, and their shuttle's retiring, but we have a lot of work to do on station. I mean, there's a lot of research that's going to be going on now on station over the next 10 years or so. A lot of not just from a point of view of learning how to live in a reduced gravity environment beyond low Earth orbit, but working with other government agencies and working on different science experiments. Lori Garber was talking about vaccines, working with NIH, working with other programs to develop cool research on station. So I think it's going to open up a door to a lot of different avenues.
We're at a point where about 9 minutes away from this T-minus 3-hour hold being lifted. The countdown clock is going to start counting again from T-minus 3 hours all the way down to T-minus 20 minutes, and it's going to hold again T-minus 20 minutes. Once that countdown is done, it's going to count again down to 9 minutes, hold one last time at T-minus 9 minutes. Now, once they resume the count in T-minus 9 minutes, that basically means they're liking what they see.
They like
zero. So if they see a weather problem, they don't think it's going to be good, or they may not live hold T0. They do have a 10-minute start 5 minutes into the window, so they have 5 minutes worth of fudge room to work with. So they can kind of push the actual launch time a little bit if needed at that T0 time.
How do you feel about the hold? You like the hold? Would you like to have it time all the way through?
You know what's interesting is Carrie Ann and I get into this debate all the time. I actually think they make perfect. That's how much sense they make. They're perfect.
Yeah,
they do make logical sense because NASA needs to hit milestones at a certain order, and some of those milestones are timed and some of them are not. So they kind of need to move and shift the clock a little bit. And they have, STS 130 is a perfect example of needing to kind of mess with the clock a bit in order to get a perfect T0. So I'm actually for the hold. You guys?
I'm having sort of indifferent. I mean, I like the holds in one respect, but then sometimes let's get the clock going, I have no problem.
It also makes it sound smarter when we can explain what's going on. And look, it adds more stuff on the bottom of the screen, so there's lots of numbers going. What's more technical?
It feels like a pro basketball game to me. It's like you get in and it's like, another timeout. Let's get to the action. Let's get to the launch. I know it's important, but it is harder than to track. Like a lot of times we're seeing it is in a whole book.
I got to tell you a funny story because we have a gentleman who's giving a show.
Sure. Let me check. But go, yeah.
So I'm going to tell you a quick story. So we have a good friend of ours, Scott Horowitz. He's off camera. You can't see him. Former astronaut, been in space 4 times.
Yes. 4 times.
Is that right? 4 times, right? 4 times. I'm going to make sure. So
I will never forget that.
We did when we first started Edge. If you saw our road trip show, this is our 6th and 7th show we did. So we got an RV. I don't know how we did it, but we got an RV. We drove down to Kennedy from NASA Langley, and we stopped on the way. And so one of the places we stopped is in South Carolina.
Yep.
And
we were just interviewing folks about NASA, about the space program.
Different parts along the way to talk to people about NASA. I said, we got to stop in South Carolina. And Blair's like, why? He's like, well, there's
nothing against South Carolina.
There's this person there who's retired. We said who was a retired shuttle engineer, worked on, and she's living there. It turns out it's Scott Ford with his mother. Like, he doesn't know this, right?
Yeah.
So this is all staged. so we go down there and we're at this little atrium.
Yeah, little plaza
area, and we're meeting her there and her friends. So he's going to interview her. So we're just letting it go, and he starts talking to her, and it's like, yeah, I understand you're working with shuttle, and she starts rattling off all this information about shuttle. It was good. So then what I did was I gave him I'm going to give you 4 random shuttle missions and ask her about it and see if she knows about the shuttle program.
Yeah.
And I
test her knowledge.
Of course, I pick all 4 of this flight.
Yeah.
So
I was not suspicious at all.
He's like, so tell me, what happened in STS 101? And she just rattled it off. Oh, we did this and we did that. And he's like, okay, well, what about STS this? Oh, yeah, that was the tether mission that, and he's just looking at like, how does she know all this stuff,
Meanwhile, I've got this little, I barely know the information, so I've got this little piece of paper that I keep looking at. I'm like, why am I reading from this piece of paper? What is going on here?
And then he goes, well, what about the new direction? What's the name of the new vehicle? And, oh, that would be the Orion and Aries. And he's like, what do you say? So then she finds says, well, because my son's in charge. He puts up a picture of him in his flight suit. I mean, it's an astronaut picture. And he just...
I was so mad.
You jumped. But if you want to watch it, go to our RB show. It's a 6 show we did, and download it. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It was
cruel at the same time. Very bad television.
I can only keep you guys for about 30 more seconds. But do a quick plug for NASA. You mentioned your show. Do a quick plug for NASA Edge. Let people know what the show is and where they can find it.
Yeah, NASA Edge is inside and outside look at all things NASA. You can download it from the NASA website. It's nasa.gov/edge. We're on iTunes. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. Ustream. We're doing a live show today, so get off their show at 10:26.
Leave. They've only been on for 4
They're muted. All right, they're muted.
So 11:26, watch us, and then you can come back to the net now. We're doing a live show today for NASA.
I'm sorry, are you in high def? Right, that's what I thought.
Oh. We are filming in high def, though. We're not.
Thanks for having us on, Ben.
You're set up with little GoPros. I am eagerly awaiting some of the footage that comes off of that because you're going to get some epic shots.
Well, you have some chances to make up that little statement you just made, so you got an hour.
Hope we're having fun. You guys do a great job. We always
love Spacevidcast.
Hanging out with you guys. And if you want to check out their bobblehead rocket, we have it on our studio.
It's pretty awesome.
We sit it there proudly. And we actually met Ben's parents who actually had those made for you guys.
If you want a lot of dirt about Ben, just email us.
We've got tons of. Well, you've probably heard 9% of it from Carrie Ann already. So.
All right, everybody can do crew walkout. We've got about 3 minutes left in this scheduled hold, and then we'll begin counting down to T-minus 20 minutes. Get off my set, guys. Send you back to NASA TV.
Change your shirt and get the
I can't change your shirt yet. Stay red until we're good. We stay red until we're good. See you guys.
But I think for us is 125. It is Atlantis, last Hubble mission. The fact that not only was it the last servicing mission, but we actually had a chance as a team to really get to know the astronauts really well. Drew Foystel, Mike Good,
Mike
Massimino.
Oh, he's a hoot and a half.
Megan.
Oh, yeah, and Megan McArthur and John Grunskill. But more specifically, I think for us would be Massimino, Good, and Foystel. Because we see them all the time. In fact,
you had to share that. While you get that out, the interesting thing, too, I remember it didn't really occur to us. We were out here ready to do the show when we realized, wait a minute, we know all those guys. So we went to the astronaut walkout, and we'd actually spent some time with them, and that was a unique thing because that hadn't happened before. So when
we had a shout out.
That was neat.
That's really awesome.
But I know you can't see it. It's on our Facebook page. But Ben, I'll let you see that.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah.
Where that's from?
Well, that's the orbiter in space. Oh, is that the cupola?
Yeah.
Well, we're boom, and we're. back. No more NASA. We've interrupted NASA with NASA. How about that? We're joined by the NASA Edge boys with a Z.
All the dirt we're not going to talk about since we're back online.
Exactly. Oh, now we have to behave ourselves.
Our game faces.
We've got Chris and Blair from NASA Edge, and you're out here covering the last launch of Space Shuttle Atlanta. Well, of the Space Shuttle. I can pretty much. Yeah,
we are covering you guys.
Special Spacevidcast coverage.
Right.
You know, you guys have been out here. We've been asking this question of a lot of people. You guys have been out here numerous times, and you've seen a few shuttle flights and rocket flights and whatnot.
Yep.
So, how is this flight different than previous missions that you've seen?
It hasn't really hit me yet. I mean, it's.
But will in about 10 seconds after it launched.
I was telling him, I said, you know, one of the things we got to do for this launch, you know, and what we need to do is we want one at the countdown clock, and somewhere on the tripod look back towards the viewers, so as it goes up to see the people's reaction. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is the last launch, and then after it launches, how are they gonna react afterwards?
Yep.
I don't know how I'm gonna react after it launches. I mean, it's kind of weird. This is it. I mean, you're never gonna see a shuttle launch again. I mean, unless you watch old clips or watch some movies.
And certainly that's reflected in the crowd that's here. The last two shuttle launches we've attended or been present for hasn't been nearly this kind of crowd.
Unmute your mic.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, obviously, obviously this is an important launch because we were driving in this morning and we passed the McDonald's in Titusville, and I've never seen more cars at a McDonald's in my entire life. Yeah. So obviously, you know, this is an important event. But no, this is no, seriously, this is going to be awesome. I mean, just think of the core crew on board, just, you know, waiting to go up. I mean, think about that. They're going to be the last launch and the last landing of the shuttle ever.
Of the best orbiter ever made.
It's incredible. It really is. And it's nice to actually be part of it. And the thing, all of the flights are historic. I mean, they're significant. But here it's kind of bittersweet, but definitely an emotional launch, I would think.
On a funny note, think about shuttle. Have you seen Transformers 3 yet?
No, not yet. You know what we're going to do? We're going to watch it at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex in IMAX 3D. Okay. So, I mean, if you're going to watch Transformers 3 as a space geek, this is where you watch it.
Well, that's a good point.
For those of you who have actually seen Transformers 3 and following on chat, just say, yes, I've seen the movie, so we get an idea how many people.
Now you have to wait 20 seconds. We can do that in awkward silence if you like, or you can keep going.
That's okay, but I don't want to give away the scene, but there is a scene in there that I say to myself, I just say, how did that happen? You know? But you'll understand it when you see it. So.
But certainly a fun movie. Great time to see it as we're here for the last shuttle launch as well. So.
What's your shuttle moment? Like, most people have, like, it's like the first time they saw a shuttle or there's a certain mission that really touched them, they go, wow, that got me. What's that moment for you?
Well, I've got two. Sorry.
NASA Edge guys, of course they do. Rules aren't made for us.
I have 35 memories.
Of course, like everyone else who's seen it in person, it's the first one's cool because you don't realize the shock waves in, or you don't hear it until 3-4 seconds after it launches. That's kind of cool.
There you go. Good eye. Good eye.
As you can't see it, these that we know, they got a NASA Edge sticker and put it and took a picture.
And I can assure everybody it's not Photoshop. We have a Photoshop guy, and that's a picture part of that.
When we put our logo on NASA Edge, that will be Photoshop. That will be Photoshop.
No, but the cool thing about the 125 mission was the fact that we got to interview them. We got to see what they were going to do. We were at JD. We got to work with them at Daytona for the 50th anniversary, the Daytona 500, and NASA's 50th anniversary. And then we got to see them afterwards.
Yeah.
And then we followed Mike Good on his recent. And of course, Stu Foystel and 134 this past mission. So that was probably the highlight mission for us.
You guys want to hear some really good rumors?
Sure.
All right, so these are all rumors. They're not been confirmed yet. We're waiting for initial confirmation.
Okay, well, we'll give you our take on how true they are.
All right, so the rumor is at this point we're going from a 30% chance of go at T0 up to a 60% chance of go at T0, and we should hear official in 9 minutes or so. Now, we're not going to nor am I going to change my shirt.